I can't tell you the number of people I've talked to who are in utter disbelief that you can make good money while writing online. I was one of them, to be honest. I thought that it was impossible to make good money as a writer unless I was like Stephen King. I mean, that's kind of the lie we've been fed our entire lives, right? We have that image of the starving writer. But it is really possible to make great money, especially as a copywriter online, because copywriting is a skill that is so high value. And as you get better and better at that skill set and you can help your clients more and more, you're able to bring in really quality income months. So how do you break into the 10K club with copywriting? Well, listen in and I'm going to share with you how to crack into 10K months with copywriting this month. That's right. It's actually easier to go from like 4 or 5K a month to 10K months than it is to go from 0 to 4 or 5K months. And the reason is if you have gotten to a place in your business as a copywriter where you're, consistently earning $4,000, $5,000 a month, you have laid the foundation that is going to make it so easy for you to move into that 10K a month club. So let's talk a little bit about this. First things first, I'm Sarah Turner. I'm a freelance copywriter and copywriting mentor, and I have helped over 4,000 people break into copywriting. I myself earn over 20K a month from copywriting alone, and I've helped so many break into the 10K a month club. So let's talk about what it takes, because you're probably going to be surprised. First things first, I want to talk about the fact that when we are talking about what we're earning online as copywriters, it's not just about how much can you charge your client or how much can you squeeze out of them. That is not part of my philosophy in setting up a long-term, thriving copywriting business. But it's something that I think needs to be said because I often talk about the income that we're earning as copywriters, but in my mind, it is a direct reflection of the impact you're having on somebody else's business. So for example, if I'm writing a sales page for a client and I charge them between $3,000 and $5,000, but they turn around and are able to use it over and over and over again for a year or maybe more to generate $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million in sales, they look at the price I charged them for that sales page and they're like, holy sh*. It is so worth every penny that you've charged, Sarah. So when you are moving into these bigger months, it's important to keep that in mind. Your bigger income should be a direct reflection of the value you are bringing your clients. And again, it should go without being said, but I know that there's a lot of emphasis in the online space around how much money you can make as a copywriter, and oftentimes we forget to pair it back to why it is such a high value skill, which is that you're having such a big impact on your client's business, right? Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, how do you go from making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month to 10K a month? First things first, you gotta work on improving your copywriting skills. And I know that kind of goes without saying, but I think that as people start to bring in, initial income, have some client work, and they're starting to kind of take off, they forget to keep working on their craft. And one of the best ways you can work on your craft is as you are submitting work simultaneously through hiring a copy editor. This is one of my favorite things to recommend to people, and it's one of the things that's helped me grow faster myself. And when I say hiring a copy editor, I mean somebody who is specifically trained in copywriting, because they're not only going to give you feedback on like structure and flow and maybe some grammar. Really, what they're going to give you feedback on is invaluable coaching on how to be more effective in your messaging. So once you have a copy editor you can trust, you should be learning from them. It's much more like having coaching edits. So I want to encourage you, if you have not already implemented that, definitely don't write copy in a bubble. One of the fastest ways to get better at what you do is to get feedback from others. Another way you can go about this is kind of working with another copywriter, so you can get that expert feedback from them. And you'll probably learn a lot about how they structure their business and things like that, and that can be incorporated into your business. Seriously, one of the best uses of your time, and it's not something you have to necessarily set aside time for, although I do think it's important to set aside time for continuing education, for growing your skill set, and we're going to talk about that next. But this is something you can be doing simultaneously as you're creating copy and submitting it to clients. So that brings me to my next point, and that is make sure you are intentionally setting aside time for improving your skill set, specifically so that you are learning more about overall marketing strategy, because that's how you bring more value to your clients. When you're first starting out, it's likely that you're going to offer a one-off piece here and there, a one-off web page, a one-off landing page, a one-off blog, a few emails. But in order to get those really big ticket retainers, you've got to start understanding marketing as a whole and the entire strategy that's involved. So that's the next step. Make sure that you're learning about funnels and the customer journey. Make sure you're learning how all the different pieces of copy fit together. And when you start to understand how all the different types of copy fit together, the next step is making that the offers that you are recommending to your clients. Now, here's an interesting thing that I often see newbies do. They think that just by creating these offers and these pitches, they can go ahead and slap it on their website and then wait for clients to ask for it. That's not how it works. You actually are going to have to pitch it to your clients, to identify a client that would benefit from it, to pitch it to them, to explain to them how it's going to bring value to their business, and then to go ahead and, secure the deal, to win the pitch. Just like how you had to do that when you were first starting out with maybe some one-off pieces, you have to be the one who kind of leads the charge into bigger packages. So having bigger packages that you offer your clients is one of the next steps that you're going to want to do. So take some time and think about what are some of the favorite pieces of copy that you like writing, and how do they all fit together to be offered in a more comprehensive bundle or package or offer, whatever the word is that you want to use, and how can you recommend that to your clients. Now, keep in mind, it's really important that when you start doing this, that you don't just look for new clients in this area. Although I do think it can be really confidence building to go out, pitch this new comprehensive package to a new client, and then it can be something that will give you the confidence to turn around and raise your rates with your current clients or recommend a more comprehensive approach. But definitely don't forget to lean into the people you've already worked with. Those are some of the best clients because you've already built rapport, you already have credibility established with them, and so it's really an opportunity to go and to pitch to them as well. Don't skip that step. I see people skipping it because they're afraid to kind of change the relationship because they're afraid they'll break it or they'll lose the client. So again, if you're worried about that, it can be really helpful to go out and get a new client with your new packages and to be able to then turn around and have that confidence to kind of bring on your older clients into what you're doing with your newer clients. The next piece of advice I have for you is when you are pitching, just like with everything else with copywriting, lead with value. Make sure you understand and are comfortable explaining why what you're recommending is so powerful for their business. And again, this is another great opportunity to get feedback from another copywriter or a mentor so that you can confidently explain to people why this thing that you're recommending is so valuable. And it can feel a little clunky at first. So I literally will write out a new pitch that I want to make to a client and I'll read it out loud so that when I hop on the phone with them and I'm trying to make a recommendation to them, or even when I'm drafting it to their email, it flows really seamlessly and it sounds fantastic. And of course, it communicates the value that you are really trying to bring here and how you're going to improve their business. So the next piece of advice I have for you is to have a project minimum. Now, a project minimum is not something that you'll necessarily share with your clients. This is something that is going to help you make sure that you're only pitching things that meet your goals. For example, if you want to hit 10K months, I would say have a project minimum of no less than $2,000. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean a client reaches out for some help with something and I say, sorry, I have a project minimum of 2K? No. What it means is when somebody presents something to you and they say, hey, I'd love you to write this one email for $50. Take that as an opportunity to look at what they've got going on in their business and make a recommendation that fits your goals, i.e. hits that 2K mark, which is not that hard with copywriting, right? So instead of writing a one-off email, put together a retainer maybe of a few newsletters each month that are linked back to different products that they have on their website. Maybe even come up with a sequence that is actually showing people how to use their products, how to get the most out of them. Or maybe write a launch email sequence. Find a product or a service that they already have and relaunch it. It can create buzz and excitement and get people really excited about what it is you guys have to offer. Or make it a part of a comprehensive funnel. Like, that's another option. You could say something like, instead of writing these one-off emails, why don't we get real serious about growing your email list or generating sales for this particular product? And come up with a better strategy for them, because usually when they have a request, there is a better strategy in place that's going to be more effective for their business, and it's going to be better for your goals. So the project minimum is really something that you keep in mind so that when somebody comes along, you fight the tendency to accept a project that is going to not help you reach your goals. That is such an important thing. One of the most important lessons I have learned as an entrepreneur is that it is equally as important to say no to things as it is to say yes to things. So when you say no to things that don't align with what you want for your business and your future, you are freeing up that time and energy, that precious time and energy that you can't get back, for the things that are in alignment. And that can be so scary, especially if you're worried about paying your bills for the end of the month. But it's such an important step that you gotta take eventually if you wanna keep growing. The next piece of advice I have for you is to just get faster at writing. One of my favorite ways to do this is to implement dictation software. It's so helpful when I'm feeling tired and drained. It's just kind of another tool to kind of get words on paper, to start brainstorming, start outlining. And Google Docs has it built in right to their tools. It's called voice typing. It's pretty darn good. But the key with this to make it really work for you is to not self-edit as you go. So I really just use it to kind of brainstorm, to think things through, to get words on paper. And it can be really helpful at cutting down the time and also at using the time when you're feeling a little bit more tired. So that's another thing. The other thing that really helps with getting faster at writing is actually limiting your time. I cannot tell you the number of copywriters I've worked with where they tell me that they're spending 4 or 5 hours researching something within the niche that they're already an expert in. And I'm like, just cut back on that research time and see if what you wrote was still the quality of other pieces that you've written previously. And more often than not, they generally find that all that researching is kind of a perfectionism or a procrastination technique, because they're worried and identifying what you're worried about. Maybe it's about looking like a fool or embarrassing yourself or making sure that you know everything on a subject before you actually say anything. It's really helpful to kind of identify the fears that have you doing certain tendencies within your business, because once you identify them, you have a real opportunity to kind of push back on them and to implement things to kind of help you make your business work for you better. And then my final piece of advice for you is to start going after clients who clearly value marketing. When people are new to copywriting, there's a tendency to go for people who don't even have websites. And that can be okay. Everybody has to start somewhere, and it can be an easier ask to reach out to a client when you know that you definitely know more than they do about marketing. I get it. I totally get it. But to hit that 10K month, you really want to start working with people who clearly value marketing. And how do you know that they clearly value marketing? Well, do they have a little pop-up on their website that encourages you to put an email address in? Are they consistently posting on social media? Are they running ads? Are you getting some of their ads? Do they have an email list? Sign up for the email list. How often are they emailing? What is the frequency? These are some of the ways that you can really identify people who are interested in actually getting more leads. There are also sites like Groupon. Anybody that's on Groupon is actively trying to pull business in. So you can start thinking about people like that. Anyone who's doing public speaking events or going to conferences, having a booth at a conference, those are all people who are interested in growing their business. And so those are the kinds of people that really you want to be talking to if you're trying to hit these 10K months. So anyway, I hope this helps. It can feel really daunting, but like I said at the beginning of this video, it is truly so much easier to go from 3, 4, 5K a month to 10K months than it is to go from 0 to 3K months. And if you are at the beginning going from 0 to 3K, you're at the hardest part of this journey. But if you don't give up, I promise, there is so much freedom and flexibility waiting for you on the other side. And it can be really rewarding if you're writing for people you genuinely believe in and are passionate about. That's how I feel about building a copywriting business to make it really work for you, because there are plenty of examples of people building copywriting businesses that run them rather than them running it. So I hope this helps. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if it does. And please, I love hearing your comments. Share with me, are you hitting those 10K months? Are you hoping to hit those 10K months? What do you think's holding you back? I love hearing from you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, guys.